So yeah, I'm going to try and play 64 N64 games in however long it takes. I've got probably about 128 N64 games in total. I'm feeling fairly positive about it. I think probably going to take me about 4 or 5 hours maybe to get through them all. But yeah, here we go. I'll start with whatever comes out first. The first game is car combat sequel Vigilante 8, Second Offence. I can only presume that the first offence was making the first game. Still, for all its unresponsive controls, the bin truck tech seemed pretty decent.
Good afternoon.
Next up I play as undercover agent 007.
The name's Bond. James Bond.
Ah, Mr. Bond. We have a safety deposit box waiting for you.
Bond, the mission has been compromised. Better get out of there before the police arrive.
Without the constraints of mission objectives, it's a fairly decent shooter. Looks alright all things considered, and the voice acting is a nice touch.
Hydro Thunder! 3, 2, 1, go, go, go!
Hydro Thunder thinks it's quicker than it is. It seems really laggy. Hard to tell if I'm missing something in the controls or it's just slow.
Booster deployed.
Maybe they're all in on a realistic boat water feel, I don't know.
Booster is getting low. 3, 2, 1, rush! Checkpoint!
Straight onto another racing game, San Francisco Rush. This game feels a lot faster and generally a lot more fun to play. I like the car gets beat up because of my bad driving. On to the fourth Mortal Kombat 4. 15 Fighters seems like a decent roster. All the bloody fighting I'd expect. In all honesty, the N64 controller doesn't suit fighting games at all. I think this is the fiddly C button's fault.
What about now? It's time to rock with the biggity buck bumble. What about now? It's time to rock with the biggity buck bumble.
The music in Buck Bumble, in particular the theme song, is the main attraction.
Bum to the bum to the bum to the bass. Bum to the bum to the bumble. Bum to the bum to the bum to the bass. Bum to the bum to the bumble.
Once playing the actual game, I'm not sure what I'm doing.
I am the Supreme Master.
Kart Racer South Park Rally is a bit of a mess, really. I'm not sure I'm meant to be going, and the controls are really unresponsive. The voice acting's okay though. Oh joy, another fighting game. Xena Warrior Princess. To be honest, I didn't know this was a fighting game. Other than it's pretty quick to get into, there's nothing really remarkable about this game.
Mario Kart!
Controversially, I think Mario Kart 64 holds up well to this day. Nine games in, this is the first game I actually enjoy. Rakuga Kids, if I'm saying that correctly, it looks nice on paper. The frame rate is awful though, especially the loading screens.
Let's get ready to rumble!
I'm playing as a robot that sometimes turns into a bin. It's a shame the game is as bad to play as it is because I appreciate the style. Hexen got ported to the N64 at some point, not sure why, probably Duke Nukem's fault. I never really played this on the PC and I can see why. Someone somewhere felt Paperboy needed a modern twist back in the late 90s. Someone somewhere was wrong. spooky goings on next with Castlevania 64. In making it into a 3D adventure game, it's lost a lot of the series' identity. I have no idea how to get through this door and I really don't care.
Select your watercraft, please.
Wave Race 64 is good, but not great. Love the bright arcadey visuals, it performs really well and it's a game we'll come back to.
Good. Let it go.
21 years ago there was a football tournament in France. A chicken danced on a ball to Chumbawamba and France won.
Great tackle and the player looks in some pain, I must say.
In this friendly match a lot of Jamaicans got sent off against Brazil.
Timely challenge. Good challenge. Oh dear, quite a collision that. I think he looks to be injured.
A quarter of the way through in another bad if not terrible racing game, Revolt. That's one word, re, and then an uppercase V, and then an alt. Hey, I'm about 16 games in, or I am 16 games in. Here's where I am so far. I've made a few notes. Basically, I'd like to play a bit more of World Is Not Enough. I think that was positive. The fighting games have been really bad. But Bumble's got good music. South Park was appalling, but good voices. And Rave Race was much better than expected. So I think I've been playing for about an hour and 20 minutes. I've played 16 games, and yeah, maybe 2 of them have been good. I think this is the 3rd or 4th Turok game. His dinosaur hunting days are over and this is a multiplayer focused shooter, perfect for a man playing on his own. Twisted edge snowboarding isn't 1080 snowboarding. I know that, it knows that, we all know that.
Trail air.
WWF Attitude isn't a bad wrestling game. A statement in any other genre would be dismissive, but with so many bad wrestling games, that's an achievement.
Booyah! Out like a light. I can't watch.
Getting back to Turok's dinosaur hunting roots, it turns out that Turok's not a great dinosaur hunter and probably why he gave it up. Endless searching through thick blue fog and not one prehistoric creature. F1 World Championship 2 is okay, it looks good for its time and there's a bit of depth to driving. I wouldn't have been that disappointed if I bought this back in the day. Platformers weren't a big thing on the N64, 2D ones anyway. Yoshi's Story bucked this trend. And there's also a lot more dinosaurs in this game than in Turok Dinosaur Hunter, so that's odd. 23 games in, halfway to 46 games. If you flip the 4 and the 6, then I'll be about halfway to finishing. A bit of maths here, 64 games at an average of £45 each would have cost £2,880. There's better ways to spend that money. Mario 64 is and always will be a great game. Shadows of the Empire will always be remembered for its opening level on Hoth. Not many people will remember driving a space motorbike around the empty streets of Mos Eisley. On a side note, Bowser's laugh from Mario 64 sounds a lot like Jabba the Hutt. I remember Doom 64 getting a lot of grief when it came out because it wasn't GoldenEye. It stood the test of time better than that game though. plays well and I like the look of it. No idea what these mischief makers are up to, and I've not got the patience to find out.
Good luck.
Lilac Wars is subjectively the only great Star Fox game.
Thanks, Fox. I thought they had me.
This is horrible. Do a barrel roll.
By accident, I selected the French language select in Beetle Adventure Racing.
Racing.
It's a pleasant surprise that my French is strong enough to be able to navigate the menus. It's a good game in whatever language you choose. Sound advice on where to knock people out in Mission Impossible.
Stay close.
It's crazy how good the Tom Cruise tech was when this game came out. It also has the longest mission fail cutscene ever put into a game. Mordus Cull's well-known mantra of "some scars never heal" is a reference to his failed second marriage. He fights in Mace the Dark Age to try and forget the ugly dispute over who got the bone china.
First half kicks off. England are playing from right to left.
I couldn't work out how to select the controller on ISS 64, so I think this could be footage of a computer playing with itself, if that's what you're into.
It's heading for the goalie. Both stretching for the high ball. The ball is headed clear.
32 games down. Yeah, the last 16 games, there's been some good games. I mean, Mario 64 is still good. Lilac Wars is good, and Doom 64 is good. Beetle Adventure Racing, I've got 3 exclamation marks after it, so I think that's good. Another bad fighter in Mace the Dark Age. Don't know what was going on there. And then I've got, the only other note I've made is Mischief Makers and 11 question marks. I feel quite positive going into the back end of this marathon.
in trouble, Duke. The alien...
Looking good, pal. Who the hell are you, my evil twin?
Oh well, this is Duke Nukem 0 Hour. Not 1 but 2 Duke Nukems, because that's the issue with Duke Nukem. There's not enough Duke Nukem.
It ain't no bike, but it sure beats the hell out of walking.
The new Tetris is the old Tetris. Don't tell anyone or the new Tetris won't sell as much. I have literally no idea what Starshot Space Circus Fever is. This could be the game. I don't think it is. I thought it was a 3D platformer. More blessings as my Carmageddon 64 cartridge is so dirty it won't play. I never really got Banjo-Kazooie. I didn't buy into its better than Mario 64 mentality back then. And the people who did now look foolish. That's a fact. If you want to watch a robot spider chase after a robot sheep, and honestly, who doesn't, then Space Station Silicon Valley does that. It's quite a good game. The fog of nostalgia clouds my opinion of GoldenEye. I still love it, but I can't be subjected by something that took up so much of my childhood.
Five is set to kick off.
NFL Quarterback Club I picked up quite cheaply a few years ago. It looks better than the 2 football or soccer games I played earlier.
First and 10. Offside against the defense.
I wasn't any good at wet tricks before doing this, and I'm still not very good at it. Despite this, I like something about it. It looks cool, and I wish I was good at it. A little known fact is that the G in Extreme G stands for geology. The most extreme form of geology in the game is a rock formation resembling the skulls of dead rock stars and snowboarders. Armorine's Project Swarm is about a crack team sent to an alien planet to kill giant insects. The giant insects quickly realise that the better tactic is to send in smaller insects who are almost impossible to hit, frustrating the crack team into the point of quitting. I think that's it.
I think the fans will be getting their money's worth tonight.
WWF Warzone is one of those bad wrestling games I was talking about earlier.
The crowd goes crazy.
If replicating how hard to handle a Formula 1 car is was the purpose of F1 pole position, then they've achieved that and not much more. F-Zero X is really good. It could be the best game on the N64. It's really fast, great fun to control, and you can play as a dinosaur. You can also play as a dinosaur in Rampage World Tour. I don't know. This game's okay. It's probably a game if you'd bought for full price on release, you'd be angry about it though.
Welcome to my nightmare!
If you got two lumps of wet clay and threw them at one another, the end result would be less messy and more fun than Clay Fighter 63 1/3. The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, on the other hand, is very good. The save I'm playing doesn't have me very far into the game, but I still remember Zelda's lullaby. Well, the last 16 games has been a real mixed bag. For every Ocarina of Time there's been an Armorines. For every F-Zero, which could be my favourite N64 game, there's been a Clay Fighter 64. I'm near to the end now, 16 games to go. Shadow Man could be the edgy hedgehog fused with a human game I've always dreamed of. It's not though. Everything's very brown and the dogs look bizarre. Not long to go now, Pokemon Stadium is a refreshing change of pace.
This battle is for you who wanted to get into a battle right away.
This Psyduck doesn't have a chance of beating my Pikachu.
Right! Thunderbolt! Whoa! Look!
Electric destroys water, everyone knows that.
What will the trainer do now? Major death!
Back in 1998, the Winter Olympics graced Nagano, Japan. I think the British curling team did better than expected.
The time
Racing Championship is the most uninspiring name for a game ever. This game is as generic as the name. 11 games to go and Supercross McGrath 2000 is much better than I expected. I didn't expect much, granted, but it's fun and it looks good. The Fighter's Destiny roster is sparse to say the least.
Fight! Yes! Just do it!
It's not really a fighting game in the traditional sense. Something to do with throwing and getting stars?
2.1! Nice try! 2.1!
Controversial paparazzi simulator Pokemon Snap next, where I play as a crazed photographer riding a moped slowly along some train tracks taking photos of monsters at the request of a mad professor. If Hulk Hogan fought Hulk Hogan, what would happen? WCW NWO World Tour answers this question. It wouldn't be much fun.
Here we go.
Performance for you. If you know the words, you can join in too. Put your hands together if you wanna clap. As we take you through this monkey rap.
Haunted by that awful song, Donkey Kong swims out into the ocean and considers ending it all.
With the jumper. Good.
Stockton and Malone I remember from NBA Jam, which is a good basketball game. NBA Live 99 isn't a bad one, but it's not memorable either.
With the J. No!
Got to be quick or they'll kill the negotiator.
Joanna Dark wasn't lying about being quick. Perfect Dark's still good, it looks nice and probably the best shooter on the N64. Pilot Wing 64 was an early release for the N64 and you can tell. With the end in sight, I travelled to old-time Greece to play a Grand Theft Auto beta. I do actually really like Body Harvest, warts and all. What an obnoxious bunch of cunts. I don't like anything about Diddy Kong Racing, it's a bad game. All the other Kongs did well to avoid this monstrosity. Ridge Racer 64 is good. I'd appreciate it more, I imagine, if I've not played so many average to awful driving games recently. Game 64 of my 64 N64 games is Killer Instinct 64, which I actually quite like. There isn't really a great fighting game on the system, but it's simple and responsible enough to be good. So that's that. 64 N64 games. Did take about 5 hours in the end. Yeah, 4, 5 good games. Countless bad games. I kind of feel like I've wasted 4 or 5 hours. Yeah. Now you've spent the time watching this video, treat yourself and subscribe to our channel. If it's not asking too much, like the video, and comment if you've got something to add. Have a great day and I'll see you soon.